Hey guys, this is Bree Zettel here to plant some garlic with you today. So last time I showed you how to make these raised beds. I've already got 9 of them planted, but we're going to be doing this 10th one with the violet spring garlic, one of the cultivars that we have for sale as certified organic garlic stock. I went ahead and left this in place to let me know which beds still weren't planted, keep track. But I also do write down on a piece of paper what I'm putting where. So I'm just gonna get this out of the way. And this one still looks pretty good after a few days of having watered on it. But I'm still just gonna give it one more once over to really make sure it's a perfect planting bed for these guys now that it's settled more into its berm shape. And I wanna make sure that I've got enough space that I can have 12 inches between my rows of garlic. Notice I'm using the flat side of the rake because this is like a finishing touch. And now I'm going to come through and mark my planting holes. So I want to do 2 rows. That's at least about 12 inches apart. So I'm going to be going as close as I can to the edges of these beds since that's a foot. And so I'm just going to go ahead and mark every 6 inches a hole. And I want to go as close to the edge as I can, but not so close that the garlic is going to fall out the side. I'm trying to go about 2 inches deep. Some garlic, like elephant garlic, you actually want to go a little deeper. Maybe more like 3 inches or 4, depending on the size. Recommendations for planting garlic, you'll see, will usually tell you that you should go 18 inches apart. But because I have these in raised beds with this like open area between, I can get away with a little bit closer spacing between my rows. I want to stagger. So instead of going exactly on the opposite side of that first hole over here, I'm going to go somewhere in the middle. And that just gives them that much more room to grow and airspace. All right, so now my planting holes are all made. There's enough for about 40 cloves of garlic to be planted, which is going to produce 40 bulbs of garlic. So for every clove that we plant, we'll have a whole new bulb. Notice I didn't peel the garlic. You actually want that protective cover there. And here I've got my fertilizer. It's like chicken manure, green sand, bone meal, potash, magnesium, and I've got a tablespoon here. I'm going to put 1 tablespoon per planting hole. And then I'm going to take my garlic with the pointed end up and the part that was connecting at the base of the bulb down and push it into that hole and then cover it up. And I actually usually like to do about 5 at a time. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I grab myself a handful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then because I have them right on the edge of my bed, I'm gonna pat that down good. And of course, watering in at the end will help keep those in place as well. Here's a close-up of some of the garlic cloves I have. When I was peeling the cloves out of the bulb, I discarded some of the smaller ones. And that's because the size of the bulb that you end up with is going to be directly related to the size of your clove. So this is a nice big clove that's going to make a nice big piece of garlic. This smaller piece will make a much smaller bulb. One other thing that I like to do is make it pretty. Garlic just looks green, and of course it's beautiful in its own way, but it doesn't hurt to have some bright tulip bulbs coming out there in the springtime. So at the end of each bed, I'm planting 5 tulip bulbs. They also enjoy the same kind of fertilizer, so I'll put some of that organic fertilizer in the planting holes for those as well. And I've got this trusty bulb planter. These are inches. You want to go about 4 inches deep with tulip bulbs. That completes the planting of this bed. Next up is to give it a nice even watering of about 1 inch of water and keep on checking it until the sprouts begin to come up. Once the sprouts come up, I'd say in maybe like 2 weeks towards the middle of November, I'm gonna go ahead and spread this straw mulch that I have back here. I'll use 1 of the bales per 10 feet. And I'll have it in the rows as well as insulating the garlic to keep them nice and cozy under a blanket in the winter and to control weeds. Garlic does not compete very well with weeds, so having some kind of mulch or just going through and consistently hand weeding is really gonna give you the best crop. So now you have all the information that you need to grow your own garlic at home, and you can head on over to starkbros.com.